Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be talking to you about this bad boy, the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Makeup Foundation. Yeah, the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Foundation. So the facts on this one are that it is full coverage. It is what they call a semi-matte natural finish, but I would just say it's just a matte finish. It is supposed to be transfer proof, I think, like certainly heat proof, maybe not waterproof, but the idea of it is it's supposed to be 15-hour wear, and it's supposed to be flawless natural coverage, so we'll see. It's £31 in the UK, $39.50 in Sephora. You can get this widely available in the UK in Boots or from the Estee Lauder website. Debenhams, basically any department store usually have an Estee Lauder counter. It's pretty much everywhere. Very good shade range. On Sephora I checked and they had 36 shades, and on the Estee Lauder website in the UK they had 44 shades, so either of those numbers is a pretty good shade range for foundation. So the shade that I currently have is Fresco, which is 2C3, so the C indicating that it's cool toned, which immediately tells you it is not the right shade for me. I picked this up in like a discount beauty shop, and so I just got the colour that I thought was closest to me, and I didn't really understand about the letters and numbers then, so this is very cool toned. I'm wearing it now, you can probably see it's quite washing me out and it's quite pink on my skin. So I'm a sort of NC 25 to 30 in MAC, and I would say the much better matches for me if I was closer to NC 30, Tawny is a good shade, and if I was closer to NC 25, then Dawn is a good shade. I have seen people around my shades using Rattan, but when I swatched that in the store, Rattan is very, very yellow. So bear that in mind if you do need to order online because you can't get to a counter and you're thinking, oh, it looks like Rattan is a good match for me. It is very yellow, so bear that one in mind, and it may be better to go for Dawn instead. So yeah, I think that's all the facts. So as usual, it's a 30ml, 1 fluid ounce. It has no pump, it's a twist cap, and it has SPF 10, which is the reason why I have fallen out with it. And we'll see that in a bit when I do my application and my flash photo, and that's the reason why I can no longer use this foundation, because the flashback, that is bad. So we'll see when it comes to me doing my flash photo test. So yeah, let's get on with the application. Okay, so now we're gonna whack this on my face and see how we get on. So I'm gonna start, as usual, with a primer. This is the MAC Prep and Prime Natural Radiance Primer in Radiant Yellow. So I'm using this one because, just like the Estee Lauder primer that I used in my NARS review, this primer is not going to in any way sort of take away from how the foundation performs. It's not like crazy luminous, it's not like, you know, got any sort of sparkle or real glow to it, and it's also not mega smoothing or mattifying or anything that is gonna sort of change how we see the foundation perform. So that's why I chose this primer today, which actually I'm really liking. As you can see, it's just a sample size one, which I got free when I ordered some stuff from MAC online. But I'm really liking it. It goes in well, and I sort of tend to feel like, because I am in my 30s, I've got to use a primer that's for smoothing or for fine lines, but actually this looks really nice on the most foundations, and I feel like probably actually, as far as fine lines and things like that, there's no miracle that's going to happen. They're not going to disappear, and actually you need your foundation to deal with those rather than a primer most of the time. So here we go. So as always with all foundations that are liquids, I'm going to give it a good shake, and you'll see there is no pump in this bad boy, which kills me, because stay still lens, stay still, find me, there I am. I love a pump, and it's just a mess, but we'll see. It's not so bad because this is actually quite runny, this foundation. Where I really struggle with something like MAC Studio Fix, it's so thick, you can't just pour it out. You've got to like shake it or tap it or bang it to get it out. When there's no pump, it's like a nightmare. So this is how much we're going in with, and I'm just gonna put, oh, went everywhere. Don't do that. So we're just going to put a splodge on each cheek, and this is probably way too much that I've started with, but we're going, so we're just going to go with it. Now, as you will probably quite quickly see, this is not, as I said before, the best shade match for me, but it's definitely close enough that we can work with it. And the first thing I noticed is I haven't used this for quite a while because we fell out. But the first thing I'm noticing as I'm sort of blending in with my beauty blender is the smell. I'm pretty sure it's well, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it's unscented because no one is going to put that scent in because it's not a nice scent. It smells like paint, is what it smells like to me. Yeah, so, I mean, actually having used way too much there, the foundation is dealing with that pretty well. Probably helped that I use a beauty blender just to control the foundation, but it's not gone really cakey, it's not looking crazy, but straight away what I'm noticing is that it is going straight for my smile lines, which I guess you kind of expect with a heavier foundation, but something to note, it doesn't dry so quickly that I haven't got time to work with it. It's, despite again how much I accidentally put on then, it's dried down quite nicely, gone on quite quickly, settled in quite quickly, but yeah. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see, but for me it's already going into those smile lines. And I'd also say it's kind of exaggerating the texture around my mouth, which is my sort of problem area. It's done a pretty good job of covering my little friend over here, so that I don't really feel like I need concealer on there. Now obviously, like I said, I do have some fine lines, certainly have like fine lines on my forehead, so you're going to see them. It's not going to cure me of being 30s, but I feel like these lines above my eyebrow I don't normally notice, and they are suddenly very noticeable, so I feel like the foundation's doing that. And definitely this texture around my chin and around my mouth looks way worse than I normally notice it. So as you can see, it is quite pink, this shade. So if you are cooler toned, I guess around the sort of NW20, maybe NW25 and MAC, this will probably be a good match for you, but for me it's way too pink. But we're expecting that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish with my makeup, put on my concealer and my powders, and then we'll come back and chat about how it's played with those other products, and we'll do in fact, before I put anything else on, let's do the flash test and the transfer test, and we will see why I've fallen out with this product. So bear with. It's now feeling totally dried down, so I'm just going to do now my transfer test with this sheet of toilet tissue. Yeah, there's nothing there. Nothing there. which is what I was expecting, and that is why this foundation is so good, because it doesn't budge. It has got a really, really good coverage. It does cover all my redness, everything I want it to cover. It's giving me a complete blank canvas there on my face, and there are a lot of shades available. It's got a lot going for it, and it's just that flashback. So that is the reason why me and this foundation have fallen out, is that flash photography issue. Because I, for a very long time, did not understand or know what was going on. I was like going for nights out and taking all these photos where I looked like bomb, and then I was getting back and looking at my phone like, why is my foundation so light? I didn't even know about flashback or what it was. And then it was a bit of a revelation to me when I started watching YouTube. So I was like, that is what is wrong with my face in all those photos. Ghost face. It's this. So that is why me and Estee Lauder can no longer be friends, and I just don't use it anymore. If it was like phenomenal, I would still repurchase this or keep it in my collection, because there are, you know, instances where you might wear this if you're going on like a long day, like a barbecue, or you know, some kind of daytime event or party where you're going to be outside, so you wanted the SPF and you needed it to last a long amount of time and look flawless. This would be a really good one. But for me, the ultimate target market for this foundation would be a wedding, but it's going to be no good for a bride, because obviously most brides are going to want to have their sort of evening party photographed as well, and that is going to make you look like a ghost. So that's its major problem. So now I'm going to put the rest of my makeup on, and we're going to see how everything goes on top of it and works with it, and if there's any problems there, and then we'll come back. Okay, so now put the rest of my makeup on. I did my concealer, I set my face with powder, and then I used a bronzer and a bit of blush, and everything went on absolutely perfect. I actually think, because I was setting my face with my MAC Mineralize powder foundation and just my Zoeva 106 brush, and I always, when I'm putting powder on like my whole face, I'll sort of put it on the brush and I start off by stippling, just so that I don't move the foundation if it hasn't fully dried, and then once I feel like it's set, I'll then buff it just to make sure that it's, you know, just a thin layer and it's all even. And I didn't even feel like I was stippling, but I could feel there was no sort of tug on the brush, there was no you know, movement at all, and I felt like I could just literally buff all over it and it wasn't going to move. It was already like immediately set, and I don't even really feel like I needed to set it. And if you don't have very oily skin, I would say you don't need to set it, and even then, putting bronzer and blush over the top is going to be absolutely fine. It worked with all those products perfectly. My concealer went on perfect and blended really nicely with it, even though I did actually use the Urban Decay Naked Skin, which I sometimes have real issues working with certain foundations, particularly like heavier coverage foundations. For me, it kind of fights with them sometimes, and even that didn't. It went on really, really nicely. No issues at all. So yeah, no issues there. So now I'm going to put up some of the shade information that we talked about, some of the recommendations from Temptalia. Like I said, if you're around my sort of colour, I would say if you're an NC25, then Dawn will probably be a good match for you, a bit paler, maybe Desert Beige. And if you're a little bit warmer, an NC30, I know previously when I was around, that shade Tawny was what I got matched to in store. And if you're sort of my type of depth of skin colour, but you're cool tone, so if you're like maybe an NW20, then Fresco will probably be a pretty good match for you, because you can see this is a little light for me and way pink for me. So yeah, if that kind of sounds like you, like a NW20, NW15, then maybe give Fresco a go. Okay, so I'll put up those shade matches for you now. The time, if I look at my phone, is 14:13. Go away, message. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see the time. You might just have to take my word for it that it is let's call it 2:15. Let's call it 2:15. What's 2 minutes between friends? So I will check back in approximately 8 hours time, and we'll see how the foundation is doing. Okay, bye for now. Hi guys. Okay, so now by the magic of time travel, we are in the future about 8 hours. So we put the foundation on, as we said, at 2:15, and it is now 8:30 in the PM. So we're just over 8 hours of wear. I have been running around today, I've been filming, I've been editing, and I've also been to the gym. So I have tested this foundation, don't you worry. So yeah, we've put it through the mill. And to be fair, as we expected, as far as the sort of general wear on my face, I can't see a single even like start to change. Like even in your sort of the areas, like you're probably, a lot of people are like me, in the areas where foundation starts to disappear first will be on the end of your nose, on your chin, and then maybe up between your eyebrows. So where I guess we get naturally oily. And again, you know me, I've been playing with my babies, I've been like kissing them, I've been rubbing my face on them, all that kind of stuff, and it is exactly there. And like I said, I've been to the gym, so I have sweated, and I can't see anywhere where it's even starting to go. All of my other products are still on my face. So yeah, the wear, can't fault it really. And I know from previous experience that is how this foundation is. It wears phenomenally well, very well. And as far as that initial that we talked about, it's sinking into my smile lines that you can probably see there. When I smile, the foundation is in there, and it is kind of exaggerating these lines on my forehead and above my brow. But it hasn't got worse. It's exactly the same as it was when I initially put it on. And again, maybe if I used a smoothing primer or a pore filling primer, which I did not, then that might help with that. So yeah, really my only issue with this foundation is probably slightly heavy for me these days. I used to want a really full coverage foundation, but these days, as I'm getting older, my skin is getting more textured, more fine lines. I prefer a sort of lighter, tend to go for a more glowy, more dewy foundation, or certainly a sort of more like on the luminous side as opposed to matte or even semi-matte. But as far as it sitting really beautifully, it does, it looks very beautiful, and in daylight it photographs really nicely, and it will stay, whatever you do, very, very well, and it doesn't transfer at all. It's probably the best foundation I've got for not transferring. But the giant con for me is that flashback, and I don't even think the photos that I put in to this video are really showing how bad it is, because those were just taken on my camera phone, and the flash, obviously it's not dark when I took them. It was not dark, it is now. It wasn't dark when I took those photos, so the flash on the phone isn't as powerful as the camera flash, and I do know if you take a photo of this with a camera flash in darkness, you will look proper ghost face. But yeah, if you're looking for a foundation that you want an everyday sort of 8 to 10 hours of wear that's going to be very full coverage, and there's going to be no flash photography happening, then that's probably, I don't know if you get better than that, but for evenings, it's a no. Yeah, so like I said, that's kind of my verdict. Pros, lots and lots of them. Cons, just the one, but it is a big one. Okay, so look forward to seeing you in my next video. Love you lots, bye bye bye. The time I'm looking at my watch, there is not a watch there. I can hear it. So many cars today. So many cars. Stop driving by my house! Oh no. Who's staying there? Staying there. Good lens, good boy.